The moment you've been waiting for. Tell me why.
Everything is a drum.
Hey!
What's up everyone, Adam from FWCI. This is the Beatles, Now and Then, the last Beatles song. This is a little 12-minute short documentary about the final song. I'm not sure if I've heard this. I'm a big Beatles fan. The name of this song doesn't ring a bell specifically, but I'm not completely up to date with their entire catalogue. I like what I like, and I get really into that sort of era of this stuff. Like Rubber Soul onwards, I'm there. So I should know this since it's the last song. There will be a full-length version of this reaction at patreon.com/FWCI, so I'll have to pause and discuss as I kind of go through, but I will have to cut more out of the YouTube edit. So if you want to experience more of the song with me, that's where you can do it. But I mean, I don't know what to expect with this. The last Beatles content I did on here was the Get Back documentary. If you haven't watched my reaction to that, make sure you do, because that was a hell of a lot of fun. And I mean, since then, the Beatles have been quiet. There's not a lot of news on the Beatles front. So let's jump into this documentary and see what it's all about.
2 take 1, silent turnover. Are you ready, Ringo? Come on, we're doing it. We're on. 1, 2, 3, 4! Which key is it in, really?
The way our 4 very different personalities combined in the Beatles was something very special.
That's a very good point. I mean, I don't want to pause it too much, but yeah, the personality with all 4 of these guys was very, very different. Everything I've read about them, they all really seem to have their own view, and I guess once you put those ingredients together, this is what you get.
But in 1994, amazingly, an interesting opportunity arose.
Yeah, this is the song they did with Julian Lennon, right?
And I'm sure he would have really enjoyed that opportunity to be with us again.
We could use John and try and make a record. It was the closest we'll ever come to having him back in the room.
I think I recall this. I think they got Julian Lennon to do some of the backing vocals, maybe. And there's a video clip with like a bird flying. Isn't that what it is? Or am I thinking of a different... Isn't that... Or is that Love something or other?
Mom had these handful of songs that my dad hadn't finished, and she gave them to the other Beatles.
It's nice to hear a story where Yoko is being cooperative and loving to the group. You hear a lot of shade thrown at Yoko Ono, so I mean that's a nice little story there from Julian that, you know, Yoko was like, hey, do something cool with this, instead of trying to do something cool with it herself.
Is it something we shouldn't do? Every time I thought like that, I thought, wait a minute, let's say I had a...
Do it!
Hey, John, would you like us to finish this last song of yours? I'm telling you, I know the answer would have been, yeah. He would have loved that.
Yeah, of course he would. Who wouldn't? The Beatles, you can finish any of my last songs.
We did Free as a Bird and Real Love.
Free as a Bird and Real Love, that's right.
And in those days, of course, we didn't have the technology to do the separation.
Oh, so now they've pumped it up and, like, we're going to get to hear it now?
It's computer stuff. You know, I was telling you a year ago, Jeff was doing this thing on his computer, but it opens up a whole other kettle of fish.
Kind of wants
to...
But will it open another year of work? It really brought to the fore to the 3 of us.
Wow, this amazing footage. They've got it looking so clean and clear. Now we're going back to it. This is awesome. What a beautiful story. It's a huge shame that George isn't still around currently as well, obviously, but...
And then in 2001, we lost George, which kind of took the wind out of our sails.
Are they going to use his recordings from those sessions?
During the Get Back movie, he'd been able to separate off certain instruments and voices.
During the course of Get Back...
So Paul's like, hey Peter, do you mind separating John's vocals? I want to make another song. I want to make another tune. Make another track. What does he say? Track, isn't it?
my dad would have loved that because he was never shy to experiment with recording technology.
Yeah, that's one thing I learned about John Lennon. He loved not just recording technology, any technology.
It's all because of you. And if I make it through.
Wow. That's haunting with no other music behind it.
We could lift John's voice without lifting the piano, which had always been one of the problems. Now we could mix it and make a proper record of it.
Man, I'm so into like music technology and like all the stuff that, you know, they've been doing and all the Beatles like remasters over the years. Like I'm in for like all of it, the mono versions, the stereo versions. I'm just loving this story. This is an absolutely beautiful story, and I can only imagine that for Paul McCartney and everything that he's done, he doesn't get many moments where he's kind of taken aback, where like it feels like he is here. Ringo can still go, man. That's nuts. He's an old man. You think his shoulders and his elbows would be fucked by now.
Strings might be a good thing. The Beatles did lots of string things, you know. Strawberry Fields, Yesterday, I'm the Walrus.
I love a good Beatles song with strings. I'm with you on this one, Macca. God, the footage that they're using from the old stuff is such high quality. It matches the quality of the current day footage. And it's kind of like disorientating in a good way. Like it's flipping back and forth between 1967 or whatever it was, 1969, and current day, you know?
On the new record, there's a guitar solo.
Please tell me it's George. Please tell me it's George.
We had kept George's guitar.
Yes!
And I thought what I'd like to do is do a slide guitar solo in George's style.
Oh, okay, it's in George's style.
It was really a tribute to George.
It's a shame that they couldn't get something that was... Did any of George make the track? Oh, it feels like George got left off. That sucks. But you know what? I trust McCartney to bust out a good George solo.
My God, how lucky was I to have those men in my life and to work with those men so intimately.
Yeah.
And to come up with such a body of music.
You know, I like that Paul McCartney is not too humble. You know, he is very humble and he's not like arrogant or anything like that. But I feel like he has a very healthy understanding of what he accomplished and what his band accomplished and the, you know, the influence that they would have on everybody for all time, more or less.
Messing around with state-of-the-art technology, which is something the Beatles would have been very interested in.
Yeah. It's weird to think it, but it's true.
And we've all played on it, so it is a genuine Beatle recording.
Someone might have to clear up the George situation. I feel like he's not... You know, I'm sure they represent him perfectly fine, but it feels like an incomplete set. I love collecting action figures. It sucks when you've got everything except for one, and that feels like an incomplete set to me.
Oh, when are we ever going to get to sleep? Now, there's a good question. No rest for the wicked. D-I-N, son. Do it now. Do it now.
D-I-N, do it now. I don't know where that originated, but I'm down with that. Alright, so that was a lot of fun. I'm going to give the song a look now as well. So for the YouTube version, I'm going to have to edit this right down for copyright purposes, but this will be up on Patreon if you want to watch the full song reaction. But let's check it out. The last ever Beatles song, Now and Then. A TDK cassette. It's been a while since I've seen one of those. What's going on in the background of Ringo's thing there? That's a nice little setup. Ringo does not look comfortable standing up behind a microphone. Sorry, Ring. That's very cool. That's very, very cool.
Because of you. And
This is so sweet. This whole edit job is just really, really get me choked up with the combination of the music and everything, you know? John right there. My God. Oh, there's my favorite George moment. Sexy George with his shoulders. This feels like a Beatles song, especially this clip. Is that all original footage, or have they CGI'd some of that? Because that was just framed perfectly, you know? This is our George solo, I'm guessing. What a last note to leave that on. The four of them disappearing. Alright, I might need a second after watching that. That was... I felt that song. I felt the connection with the band. I think... I think having John on there as the lead vocal was the only way to... that was the only way to do it. To make it really feel like a true Beatles song. Whew. And it's a genuinely nice song. I wasn't hearing it when they were working on it in the documentary part, but hearing the final, you know, product, whew, that's, oh my God, what a moment. I'm so happy I could share this with all of you, because the Beatles are... oh my God. The Beatles are a band that have been very special to me for a long time, and these tears make it sound like I've got some, like, oh, they saved my life and I was gonna jump off of a building, and then I heard, you know, Maxwell's Silver Hammer and was like, you know what, I changed my mind. It's nothing like that. I just really love their music. Especially their latest stuff. Rubber Soul is my favorite album of anything. Like, it's just, every single song on there is just an absolute masterpiece. And Paul McCartney, his post-Beatles life, having that huge thing with Wings, the huge thing, you know, the huge whole second Hall of Fame career with Wings. And one thing I've always thought about Paul McCartney is, and I kind of alluded to this before, he seems to have such a healthy outlook on life. I mean, he's got to be, you know, rolling in money, and I'm sure he gives most of it to charities and probably animal foundations and stuff like that, because he doesn't seem like a greedy and, you know, narcissistic and, you know, materialistic kind of person. And it's, for somebody to be as famous as he has been for as long as he has been, I mean, you look at Michael Jackson, he's one of the only people you could probably compare to, like, the Beatles level of fandom, and, you know, he's cuckoo. Well, he's dead now, but he was all over the page, and it's very easy for celebrities to fall down that well, and Paul McCartney never has. He's always been an example of, you know, how to be good to other people, and, you know, he's still touring. He was just here. Oh my God, I couldn't get tickets, but he was just in my town a couple of weeks ago, still going. That might be the last time he ever does Australia. Probably not. He's going to be 95 years old, still touring, I'm sure. And let me talk about the other members of the band. Ringo is just the most adorably sweethearted person you could ever possibly imagine. He's another reason why I love the Beatles so much is because of Ringo's just shameless, childish kind of attitude. Not attitude towards things, but it's like this shamelessly childish energy that he has. It really, I think the world needs people like that. And again, this whole combination of these guys getting together, it's just an example of, you know, magic happening. And this song was, oh yeah, Jesus Christ, this really, really hit me. Like, it felt so final. It felt almost like a funeral, but in a good way. Very, very strange feeling. I'm gonna go shake this off because I gotta go record funny stuff now, and I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling like sad or anything like that, but I gotta get my my laughing gear warmed up. I don't know if I should say it like that. That sounds a bit wrong. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this one. If you're watching this on Patreon, thank you very much. I appreciate all of your support. And if you're not watching this on Patreon, thank you for your viewership. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, and hit the like button, because that makes everybody see the video a lot more. And we want people to see me weeping over the final ever Beatles track, don't we? Let's get that out there. Tweet this out to Paul McCartney if you want. Be like, hey, check out the video of this like chunky Aussie guy who was crying over your song because, you know, Paul McCartney's really adjusted in real life, and you put John Lennon on the lead vocals. Let's see what he says, because I'd love to interview him one day. My goal is to get into interviews one day, and oh my god, Paul McCartney, are you kidding me? Throwing it out, throwing it out, throwing it out. Thank you very much for checking this one out, everyone, and as always, be well, stay safe, look after your friends. See you in the next video. Peace!